Hello, I am Minefiend. This is a secret world, and this is Little Boo. That there is Alice Coralmind Shaw. Good luck with it, Alice. Right, now this is going to be a bit of a slightly different episode. The next mission we're going to do is this broken RC plane. It's the final mission at the Morning Light camp. And look, it's daytime, bright sunny daytime for once. Moonbeam Schwartz is there with her recently added multicoloured jacket. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the character. Now I'll press N to bring up the ability wheel, and I've been giving it some thought. What I've been aiming at is a tank. I like the idea of a tank. A tank's job is to run into the combat, draw the focus of the enemies, get as many enemies or all of the enemies attacking the tank themselves, so that then the other members of the group are unhindered by attack, so that they can do the damage, the DPS can do the damage, or the healers can focus on healing the group. So the tank's job is to draw the aggression, the aggro of enemies. And I've been working towards the Warlock. We've not got very far towards it at all yet. We just managed to fill in the inner wheel, really. The next ability I was going to get is Trucker. However, the thing about a tank is they're designed to take the damage as long as there's a healer there keeping them alive. You can do what's called a heal tank, but that's a bit more complicated. But the whole point of a tank really is not to be able to kill things as such. It's there to just distract things while other people do the killing. It's a group character. We will at some point go into groups, we will go into the dungeons here, we will do all that, but it's not going to be for quite a while. And then the thing is then that if you're running around in the wilderness as a tank, it's going to hamper us. So what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to learn to walk before we learn to run. Tank is sort of a bit of an advanced thing. It's where you, like I say, you need a group to do your role properly. We're going to have to take a step back from that and think about, well, how do we just survive out here? How do we keep ourselves alive amongst all the stuff that's out here? And the answer to that is what you do is you build what's called a solo build, a build for playing by yourself while you're in it. Now, the secret world is very different in the fact that what we put here towards a tank isn't going to be wasted, because at some point you will max out everything. You're going to, even if you tend to use hammers and blades, say, you will eventually still fill out your pistols rolls, because you're constantly getting ability points, you're constantly putting them in here, and you've got 525 abilities. So we've got 13 of our maximum 175 you can carry. You can, once you get past that 175, if you save up to 175, I have 175 of 175. Any more I earn would be wasted, they won't be added to the total. But as long as I keep spending these, as long as I keep spending the points and they never reach 175, I'll keep earning more and more points all the time. So eventually you will buy everything, even like in here where some of the abilities cost 34 points per ability, 50 points per ability. You will eventually get them. So nothing is wasted. You can change focus. I can now head for a solo build if I want to, which I'm going to do, and then when I'm ready to come back to doing a tank, I've got a head start on it. So what I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at this. It's an elite build. It's one that will take a very long time to get all the abilities for. It's called an Agent of Chaos. However, it's Very, very good for surviving on your own, for keeping you alive out there doing the things. And as you can see, it uses like 1 from this part of chance from chaos magic, 2 from this one, and it's got a lot of abilities. It uses chaos, it uses blood magic, it uses fists, it uses blades, and it uses survivalism. So it's a very wide ranging character with a lot of different skills. Healing ability, if you look here, it's got ability to heal themselves for 642, and yet they've also got things like the Art of War, which is a devastating blade attack, which will cost an absolute fortune to get, but it's well worth it. So this is a very long goal, very, very long goal. This is for surviving at the end of the current game at the moment in what's called Kaidan. Won't be for long, there's going to be more releases, but at the moment it's like an end game type character. But along the way we are still going to be doing other things, like for instance, see the champion uses blades and fists. We will fill out, we've got to fill out the fists one, let me show you, because to get the elite agents of chaos they want 2 abilities from the Outback. Here they need blood sport, we've got to get that as quickly as we can, and salting the wounds. Blood sport is fantastic because whenever you hit the target it becomes afflicted with a damage over time effect that deals 5 physical damage per stack for 3 seconds. So 15 over 3 seconds it will deal 15 damage, and it can stack 3 times, so really you can get it going so that over 15 seconds you're dealing 45 extra damage just from that, having that. But what the main thing about this is, it means that the target becomes afflicted. If you combine that with this passive, salting the wound, whenever you apply afflicted, so whenever you hit and you've got this passive selected as well, you know, in your deck, you'll apply afflicted with every hit. So for every hit you do, you'll deal 21 physical damage to the target. So I may well be still using Escalation, where I hit and I do 49 physical damage, but because of Bloodsport I would hit, the target will become afflicted, therefore that would then trigger this. So you use Escalation, which triggers this because I'm hitting with it, which then triggers this, which does an extra 21. So effectively it's turning Escalation into doing what, 70 damage with every hit instead of 49. And that's how these ability things work. You know, you use one which triggers another, which triggers another, and so on. That's how you get the best out of certain things. But to unlock this, we can't put any points into this tier. It's locked. Even though we've got enough points, 13, 9, we can't do it until we've bought all the abilities in these 2. Fists is still locked. To unlock this cluster you need to buy all the abilities from the cells Feral and Primal. Feral and Primal. So we need to buy all those. To use the blade ones we'll need to buy all the blade ones as well. So although this is a goal I'm working for, it's a very long-term goal, and we will be collecting and amassing other stuff along the way. So what we're going to do is, because we have to unlock both of these, what it will then do, it will give you the reward for the champion here, who uses blades and fists, because you'll have all these unlocked and you'll have all these unlocked. And so you're building your deck the whole time, even if you've got a goal, even if you're not particularly focused on anything in here. Say I don't want any of these abilities, but I want to get to this one. I might not use any of these, but they're not wasted because I can use them. I will be using them for healer decks. I will be using them for other things. So to sum up, what I'm basically saying is I'm going to go for this very, very long-term goal. I'm going to go for a soloist who can keep themselves alive, which means I'm going to change weapons, because this elite agent of chaos, let's read them. Recommended for soloing in the Kaidan area. That's the very end game at the moment, really. This deck focuses on getting up close and personal with enemies and bringing them down. Each use of escalation will cause enemies to suffer a myriad of effects. So every time you use that, different things will happen. From breakdowns, application of exposed. Now breakdown is this ability here, which is the value of X, which is in chaos here, in the value of X. So we need to fill up all these chaos ones to be able to open this tree and get breakdown. Whenever you hit a target with chaos, with a chaos blade or hammer ability, it becomes weakened by a single stack of the exposed effect, which increases all damage received by 2% per stack for 10 seconds, and it can stack up to 10 times. Very, very powerful. There are two abilities, two effects in this that you really want to have on your side. One is exposed, because that means that every time you hit the creature while it's under this effect, it is taking 2% extra damage. So for every 20 damage you do, you'll do, well, for every 100 damage you do, you'll do 102. Which might not sound like a lot, but this game really adds up tiny, tiny little pieces. And it can stack, so it can stack up to 10 times. So by the time you've hit it 10 times, it's then taking 20% extra damage. Huge difference, huge difference. When each use of escalation will cause the enemies to suffer a myriad of effects, from taking increased damage from breakdowns, application of exposed, to taking damage over time from bloodsport, which, if you remember, bloodsport we looked at, which is the fists one. Whenever you hit a target, it becomes afflicted and starts taking damage. So straight away, with one hit from escalation, we've got the creature taking more damage and receiving damage over time, and extra damage from that damage over time, and it begins to stack. It's stacking. Everything's mounting on the creatures to kill them. Wonderful, wonderful system. Really, really clever. Really well thought out. Which will trigger Salt in the Wounds, which, like we said, it take an extra 21 damage. Also, each used after the first will trigger Gross Anatomy for even more damage. Now, Gross Anatomy is down here in the blood magic. Now, to get that, because we want this, we only want Gross Anatomy from this tree, we'd have to buy all of blood magic here, both tiers of this, and all this. So you're looking at a couple of 100 ability points spent just to get this one ability, Gross Anatomy. Whenever one of your damage over time effects expires or is renewed, it will perform an additional hit that deals 48 magical damage. And you think, well, why, is that really worth it? But remember, when you deal the damage over time from Bloodsport, it lasts for 3 seconds. So when you apply it, it triggers Gross Anatomy, which does an extra 48 damage. 3 seconds later, it ends, so that it triggers an extra 48 damage. So already it's taken nearly 100 extra damage in 3 seconds. Of course, in those 3 seconds, you're continuing to hit, so you're triggering it again. So again, it's being hit by another 48 damage. Again, it's being hit by another 48 when that does it. So this adds a phenomenal amount of damage to what things are taking. It's just beautiful system. So fantastic. In combat, start with one hit of escalation. This is really nice. They didn't do this before, explain it in great detail. They don't do it with the other ones. They just sort of like told you a little bit about them. Very little, but these are almost like a guide on how to use the character. I hope they continue to do them like this, because this is so useful. So very useful. In combat, start with one hit of escalation to apply Bloodsport and Expose. So in other words, hit him with your builder first. Don't hit him with your big blade consumer, because even though you can do. Hit straight away with one of these, so that they get these effects on them, blood sport and export, and then use your consumer, the clearing the path. Clearing the path is your blade consumer. It's a player based effect up to 6 enemies in a range. It'll deal 84 to 173 physical damage based on the number of resources consumed. This attack has a 40% additional chance to penetrate any afflicted targets. So if you remember, when you hit with Escalation, it does become afflicted. Is it Bloodsport that afflicts it? Yes, Bloodsport puts the damage over time onto it. So you hit once, get Bloodsport on there, then hit with this, and because Bloodsport's on there and it's taking the damage over time, this suddenly then has a 40% extra chance to penetrate a target. Now penetrate is a very desirable type of hit. When you hit a creature, you could glance them, they could dodge it and evade. Glance is a very mild hit where they'll take 60% less damage. They could block it where they'll only take they'll take away 30% of your damage. But penetrate goes right through all that and hits them for the full amount. So you really want to be able to penetrate, and this is what they call proccing. This is going because you've hit with Escalation, which has triggered Bloodsport, which has applied the afflicted effect to it. You then hit with this, which sees that they're afflicted and applies the extra 40% chance of going through the armour. It's stack after stack after stack, connection between all your abilities. Brilliant, really brilliant. The bonus penetration of this ability against afflicted targets will help trigger Iron Maiden and Sudden Return. Well, let's have a look. Iron Maiden ability. Whenever you penetrate a target that is afflicted, you gain the minor penetration chance effect, which increases penetration chance by 15%. So you've already hit it once, then you're penetrating it 40%. Remember from the other one. Penetrating an afflicted target. When you do penetrate an afflicted target, that then says okay, the conditions for this have been met, which then gives you the an increase to your chance to penetrate from then on by 15%. So the next hit you do, you've more chance of penetrating, but you get the extra 40% again from clearing the path, and it just goes round in a vicious circle to give you more and more chances to hit and everything. Just brilliant. It's all like that. Sudden Return, of course. Sudden Return. Whenever you penetrate, you also perform an additional hit that deals another 56 damage. So the thing is getting hit bang, 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 bang by each ability. This happens, that happens, this happens, that happens, and one triggers a cascade of effects. Then also you can use note that pulling the strings will grant the minor hit chance effect. Pulling the strings is your chaos consumer. It consumes all your chaos hits. It's a single target attack that can hit up to something 7 meters away for 175 to 353 damage, magical damage, based on the number of resources consumed. So if you consume all 5, you'll do the 353. If you hit it after just applying 1, you'll only do 175. Sometimes 175 is enough. But then it says if the target is weakened, you gain the minor hit chance effect, which will reduces the chance of glancing by 10%. I think one of them applies weakened, doesn't it? Which one was it? Yes. Breakdown means that when you're hitting with your Escalation, you're applying weakened every time as well, remember? So they're taking more damage. They're taking it up to, by this point, they're going to be taking like an extra between 2 to 20% more damage. So because they weaken and you use pull the strings, you get the minor hit chance, which gives you less chance of glancing against creatures. It's all stacking up. This will reduce the occurrence of glancing hits significantly. If your health gets low, Martial Discipline and Helter Skelter, Art of War and Turn the Tables can be used to get some breathing room via restoring health. The Martial Discipline gives you the major defense effect. When you use that, you can use it every 45 seconds, and you get a major defense effect, which gives you a chance, an increase to the chance that attacks against you will glance. So whatever the chance is of something glancing off you, you get an extra 50% chance, 50% of that chance. It doesn't mean that 1 out of every 2 hits will glance. It doesn't work like that. It's their hit rating compared to your defense rating that gives you the chance, gives them the chance to hit you, or you the chance to dodge. This ability does not trigger and is not affected by global recharge time, but what's important about this is that if you have this and then you have regeneration, martial discipline also gives you a heal over time effect, which heals for 72 every second for 10 seconds. So you're effectively healing 720 health whenever you trigger that, and you're making sure you get hit less often. Wonderful. If you use Helter Skelter, that's a column dash, which means you can get out of a group of enemies that have got you surrounded and are bashing you, or you can charge across to one that's at range and hitting you from a distance and slowing you, etc. That helps. The whole deck's built around keeping you healthy, keeping you alive, and applying lots and lots of damage. When acquiring gear for this build, be sure to include at least 1 talisman with health, 1 with heal rating, and the rest with attack rating. When applying glyphs, focus on hit rating and penetration. That's really important information here. It's saying you need to have a lot of health, you need to have a good heal rating, but most of all you need to have attack rating. Attack rating is basically how much damage you're going to do when you start hitting. Heal rating, how much you will heal. So the better your heal rating, the more these healing effects will do for you. And of course the health, the more hit points you've got, the longer you'll survive. Glyphs that will give you hit rating, extra hit rating, and penetration effect. So penetration again, the bigger your chance to penetrate, the more times you're going to go through, you're going to trigger more abilities. So I spent ages going on and on about how wonderful this build is. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head for this build. To do that, I've got to do 2 things. First of all, I've got to move over into the blade skill tree with my ability points. Now, survivability. If I look at that, whenever an enemy attack glances you, you gain 15% of that damage dealt back as healing. That's not the tree I'm going down, but what I'm going to do is, as I've recommended before, I'm going to put 1 point into here. Okay, because I've now got the bigger skill. So from now on, whenever any enemy glances me, I'll get 15% of the damage back as healing. Over the course of the game, that can be a massive amount now for that 1 point spent. If I spend another one again, I'll get 16.75% back. And at some point, we eventually will put into here, but now we're interested in killing things. So what we're going to look in is the damage of the blade. The damage will give us 2 cuts, it's called. Whenever you hit an enemy with a blade ability, you apply the 2 cuts effect. Hitting the enemy with a blade ability consumes this effect and deals 8 extra damage. So think about that for a moment. If I spend 1 point in here, I'm doing 8 extra damage every time from now on for the whole game that I hit with a blade. So let's do it. Now it gives me a warning. The skill you are attempting to learn is not your highest ranked skill for this weapon. Learning this skill will not increase the maximum quality level of weapons that you can equip. Do you still wish to learn it? Well, yes I do. It's not. They don't recommend that you split your skill points because it makes your progression to better weapons slower, much slower. Which is why you tend to get people who will go into one tree and go all the way along. But as I say, I recommend you always put at least 1 into the tree. So we're gonna do it. Yes, that's okay. We want to do it. So now we've got 2 cuts. So from now on, every time we hit, we're doing 8 extra damage. We've got 4 more points left, so we're going to put another 2 points into this, so that from now on, every time we hit, we'll do 9 extra damage. And then we've only got 2 points left. I'm not going to spend them on survivability. I'm going to keep going up on this tree, so I'm going to keep it till I've got another point there. Right. 13 ability points for blades. Right, what do we want in the blades tree? Well, we're going to need a blade builder. Actually, we'll be using Escalation as our builder, really. So we won't really need the blade builder. Not yet. Immortal Spirit, whenever you penetrate, you get a heal over time effect that heals 13 every second for 5 seconds. We're going to go here because what we're going to do is we're going to get Blade Torrent, I think. Blade Torrents are very good. Although I don't know. Let's have a look. This is a single target attack that deals 98 physical damage. Blade Torrent is a group attack that deals 50 damage. Right. So it's something you want to see what you're doing. If you fight against a single player, a single enemy, you want the single attack. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. I am going to have to remove all my hammer abilities. To use this. Let's do it. Bite the bullet. That's a hammer ability. I don't need to really remove passives, because passives will trigger. Some of them will trigger regardless, like this. Whenever you block an attack, you gain the major ward effect, which reduces all damage received by 25%. So I'll think about that one. I might not remove this one. Righteous Fury in critical chance. Brawler increases crit power by 15%. Well, that will work on a on a sword. I'll think about Stonewalled. I can keep Stonewalled. We've got Lick Your Wounds going. We'll leave that in for the time being. And that increases the damage of hammer abilities. So let's put the elite up at the end. Swap those two around. Right. 13 points to spend. I like my builder on key 3. I like my chaos consumer on key 4, and my other weapons consumer on key 5. Just because it's the way I like to hold my hands. So we want to get to the balance blade, because that's going to be the first consumer. So let's buy these. We'll buy a Delicate Strike. We'll buy Delicate Precision, which increases the penetration chance of Delicate Strike. And we'll buy Balance Blade. So there's my rotation. I'll be using Escalation. Schism and that. Now let me just look at Escalation. Intensity. Improves Escalation by reducing the chance it will glance, increasing the hate generated by 20%, and also causing affected targets to become weakened by a single stack of the exposed effect, which increases all damage received by 2%. So we want Escalation in. There's Paradigm Shift. Whenever you apply Weakened, you have a 30% chance to gain a minor hit chance effect, which reduces the chance of glancing by 10%. Well, let's put it in for the time being, because we are applying Weakened with Escalation. Got 10 points left to spend. Chaos Adept increases damage dealt by Chaos abilities by 10%. Really worth having at the moment, because that's 10% of all these hits. Which, you know, you're going to say, well, it's 0.5 of damage point with every hit of that, but it mounts up. 10% of that, 335, of course, is 33 extra damage. So I'm going to buy Chaos Adept. Right. Now let's go back to here. We need to get to Martial Discipline and Regeneration, really. But we're going to have to buy them all. We are going to go through them all. We're going to buy all of these Chaos ones. All of these. We're actually going to buy all the Claw ones as well. It's just a long-term goal. So let's see, which ones do I want? We want to try to get to Stunning Swirl, because that's... Actually, no, I don't think I do. I think I want my... Oh, I've not got 7 left. How many have we got? 6. Ooh, that's close. Oh, I might leave it there. I might wait until we've just got one more point, because then I can buy Domino Effect. Domino Effect is great. It knocks everything down around you. I'm going to leave that for the time being. I'm going to save those 6 points, I think. I think I am. Well, I am, but what I'm going to do is, because I've got a spare slot here, I've actually got 2, because I won't be using Hand of Change either, really. I might buy Illusion, because that will give me big evade chance. Yep, okay, I am. I've got to buy them anyway, so it's just a question of what order did he get things in. Okay. Right. So now, let's look at the swords. Character sheet. Let's take my hammer off. It's close to Gear Manager. Take my hammer off. Now we've got Potent Blade, 102 weapon, 14 penetrate. 101 weapon, 110 critical. Right, well there's no contest in that. This is the one we want. So let's right click this. Is that the right one? 102, 14 penetration. 101, yeah. This is the one we want, yes. Okay. That comes down. Glyphs. That's a really useful toolkit there. We'll keep our hammer in our weapon sack for when we want it. And let's just have a look. It's like a rapier what we've got. Very nice. Okay, so it's like I say, it's a very long-term goal. This it is a long-term goal, but it's going to help us. It is going to help us eventually. It's a bit awkward at the moment transitioning, but nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been wasted. Everything's going to help. Right. Okay. So there's been a random video as we transition. Okay. I'll say I've been Mindfiend. You guys, as always, have been wonderful. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.